What's up, everyone? You're listening to LOCPOD, simply the best blockchain and NFT podcast made for legends. Now, without further ado, let's get this started. We're your hosts, Khaled Shahabi, the marketing manager at LegendsOfCrypto, and David Freed, the Legends of Crypto game designer. In this episode, we're joined by Simon Kertonegoro, the VP of Developer Success at Enjin, to find out more about Enjin, the possibility of traditional games applying NFTs into their own worlds, and technology to bring fundamental change to the gaming industry. So you're the VP of the Developer Success in Enjin, is that correct?
Yep.
And I was looking into it, and Enjin started in 2009, way before NFTs started to kick off. So how did it start, and how did it grow into what it is today?
Yeah, so Enjin's original kind of business was as a social platform. So it was a social community building platform. So if you can imagine, you have a guild or you have a Minecraft server or you're a game developer and you want to create a community. Back then, like the most important thing in your community was having a forum, basically. So you'd go onto Enjin's platform, you'd use their CMS, their content management system to create a forum and a website, and it would have like a ticketing system and chat rooms and everything that you need to really build a community within the gaming space at that point in time. And yeah, it attracted a lot of amazing projects. It ended up with hundreds of thousands of communities, 20 million users. And was a great success for them. And then in 2017, or actually much earlier than that, Vitek and Maxim, the CTO and CEO, they really kind of envisioned a new future for gaming where people truly owned their items, and they could own them forever. They could trade them freely. They could move them through multiple games. It would be like a persistent identity that you wouldn't throw away after leaving one game and starting a new game, which is what the past basically forces players to do. So I know that this was a huge vision for them, like for many years. And then in 2017, the time was right, and they launched Enjin Coin, and they started building the Enjin platform. So the 2009 company was the Enjin Network, and then since 2017 and onwards, they started building the Enjin platform, which is really about enabling game developers and game designers to integrate blockchain assets and NFTs specifically into their economies without having to worry about building smart contracts and blockchains and all of the complex stuff that frankly isn't really that fun to do. So game developers and game designers can focus on doing what they love, crafting great experiences, telling great stories, and then let all of the really kind of hectic security work that comes with building blockchain infrastructure, leave that to Enjin, and they just plug in the APIs and go from there. So yeah, the ecosystem's grown quite a lot since then. Like Vitek invented the ERC 1155 NFT standard in 2017, and since then that's gained widespread adoption. It's easily the fastest growing NFT standard in the world right now. And yeah, there's like 60 or something game developers and apps integrating NFTs into their games and apps through this platform. There's the whole world is wondering what NFTs will do next, and what the final form of NFTs will be. And this is kind of what Vitek and Maxim envisioned back in 2017. The only form of NFTs to them was like high utility NFTs, items that you'd own forever and would be able to use them to unlock benefits and perks and skins and weapons and all of that kind of stuff in games, and same thing in apps, just digital products kind of thing. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting ride over the next few years, and we hope that we can kind of show everyone what NFTs can do from a utility standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of which, I've had a lot of trouble trying to get even game developers, particularly old school game developers, to sort of understand the NFTs and what they can do. What's the easiest way you've been able to sort of describe what Enjin does as a concept to people who are new to the whole thing?
Yeah, I really think of them as like physicalized assets, like physicalized digital assets in a way that have never been possible in the past. Like, if you think about, you go down the street and you buy a bike for $100, you then own that bike forever. No one can just run into your house and take it off you out of your garage. You can then, ride the bike and resell it after a couple of years for around the same price, maybe more, maybe less. And you just truly own that item. And basically, that's exactly what I think NFTs are. Really, it's the only way to really physicalize and make your digital assets or digital items tangible, and in a way that that they're not like stuck within a game server. It's actually on the blockchain, and it's like within your wallet that you have complete custody over. I think that to me is just the most important thing. I know, like, to a lot of game developers, that's not very attractive because frankly, it's like, how do I make money out of that? But at the end of the day, it is attractive to users. And if you want to kind of be on the cutting edge of technology, give users a benefit in your game that other games are providing, then this is a very easy thing to adopt, to be honest with you, and you can pave the way forward for the new digital economy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of ways that it can be attractive for game developers. In terms of you get paid whenever you make new content, people will buy that from you. The issue that I see in the long term is that these things never go away. So
Yeah,
like a bike eventually breaks down. And especially in the way that consumerism has been done in a modern sense, things are built to be obsolete.
yeah.
Like everyone's replacing their phones every 2 years. Is that just a mindset we need to break people out of and like return to this sort of like old fashioned idea of like you buy a high quality thing and it lasts forever?
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really interesting point. I think fundamentally the NFT adoption monetization model is completely different to the traditional gaming monetization model. Like the traditional model, you sell and people buy, and it's just it's a one-way street. People just buy off you, and that's the only way. With the NFT monetization model, you sell and then people buy, and then they start to resell and they buy off each other, and you have these people that are essentially it's a secondary market, so people are essentially competing with you in a way. But the beauty of blockchain is that you can actually monetize that secondary market as well, and get like a small commission off every secondary sale that takes place. Or you can literally have transfer fees. So every single time someone moves an item from one wallet to another, then you can get paid. And I think that this has the most amazing network effects that I've ever seen, because you have all of these users out here like promoting your game, promoting your assets, telling everyone how amazing your game is, and that they should go and play it, and then they should buy these assets from them, or they should work together with them to earn these assets, and basically build a guild, or build a kind of a play business kind of thing. And this kind of situation, like it's amazing for user acquisition, because you're out there, you're doing your marketing, and you have all of these people that are aligned with you. Their motivations are aligned with you in a way that they want to share more. They create more content for you, and we're seeing this. Like it's just crazy. Like some of these successful games, how much content is just popping. These successful NFT games specifically, how much content is being created, and also the user retention rates are amazing too, because someone joins the community, they want to play the game, they want to learn how to do it, and everyone accepts them with open arms, because that's someone that you can collaborate with and essentially trade with, and it's a really, like, if you think about the economy today, imagine how, like, the real world economy, imagine how boring it would be if the only person you could buy anything off was the government. Like that's what traditional gaming is. Like me and you would never have any reason to trade or work together or collaborate or compete or anything. Like, so I think that this new form of, like, user generated value is basically the next paradigm that will take over user generated content, and I think it's going to inspire like so much creativity, and it's just going to just create like better value systems within collaborative environments like gaming.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things that I think game developers have been like moving towards for a long time. Like you'll
Totally.
hear it every once in a while. Like Blizzard's Titan, they were like, oh, players are going to have their own in-game economy where they build stuff and they're tradesmen and they can trade stuff with each other. But I don't think that really works when you have infinite generation of stuff.
Totally.
So there has to be some sort of limitation on resources, and then I'm still not sure what that looks like. And like I understand what that looks like in terms of like you can only mint X amount of things, but in a game world, can you have situations where, like in Minecraft, you actually mine out the world?
Yeah,
So,
and then what's left for the new players? Is that still fun for them or not? Like, probably not. So like, yeah, it's an amazingly hard thing to balance, and I think that I think it's more going to be about having like, you know, OG items, like, you know what I mean, like generation 0, generation 1 items that are clearly special, not necessarily in a pay to win scenario where it's like going to help you kill other players easier and that kind of thing, because basically anything that's an NFT is a pay to win risk, because it's on the market, so whoever's richest can get it. But yeah, I think like I know in Fortnite, like people are really, really proud of their OG skins and this kind of thing. Like NFTs actually allow you to map that out in a lot clearer way. You literally just go to the blockchain explorer and see when that skin was minted. And well, that's obviously the OG skin of all. And that's what CryptoPunks are really. So yeah, I think that's the way to go really. People are always going to need new items. Inflation's always going to happen. But yeah, if the first items are special and clearly special, I think then that's okay.
This concept of like an in-game economy is not really new. I mean, I've played games trying to make money before, like as a teenager,
Yeah.
and they don't work very well because they have you grind forever to make like a few cents if you're lucky. So people don't even end up playing them because they're not fun and they don't make enough money to make it worth their time. So, NFTs are kind of like, I mean, the way I see it, they're kind of like the evolution of what started and what's coming next. Because an in-game economy where you can actually make like real money out of is not exactly a new concept. But this is a totally new approach to something that's been tried and for the most part failed.
Yeah, I read really interesting articles a couple of years ago about RuneScape, like classic RuneScape, like gold farmers in Venezuela earning more money than lawyers in Venezuela. It's just amazing. So yeah, there's definitely a market for it. I think that it could be like a great equalizer in a lot of ways, where, you know, people in countries that are time rich and cash poor, they can trade their time for our cash, and you know, and I think that would feel good for both parties. So yeah, I'm really interested in that. I definitely want to find a way to make it work, but as you mentioned before, you know, inflation is an incredibly hard thing to balance, and I don't think any country gets it right, let alone game developers. So yeah, it's an interesting problem.
David, does that open up your ethical NFT scenario, sweatshops?
well, it neither. There's no solution that I can find. Like, not really. Like, what happens when people start funneling people into a warehouse and forcing them to farm NFTs? Like, what do we do? Like,
oh no. Oh no. Oh no, that breaks everything.
it kind of does. So that's what I'm looking at right now, and like all the solutions are sort of specific in terms of like, this IP address has a bunch of people doing stuff, and then they just get more careful about it. It becomes this escalating war that I'm not sure how it ends or what to do about it.
My question would be, like, as a worker, like, what would be the benefit of being in some guy's sweatshop as opposed to just being on your own computer at home?
You get to live.
Oh, like they literally like force people to do it.
That's how. That's generally what happens. Yeah, they get chained to
Oh
desks.
wow. Oh
So,
wow.
Yeah, there's only so much we can do to stop it. But
That's happening. Like, that happens, does it?
Well, I mean, I haven't seen a case of it with NFTs yet, but I think it's
but in the
worth it all
games
the
market.
time.
Yeah.
In gold farming for sure, but
RuneScape.
gold
Wow.
farming, it's almost a
Wow.
prestigious thing because you get to be in an air conditioned thing instead of in a actual sweatshop where it's like hot and you're like miserable and you're sewing clothes. So it's kind of a step up in a lot of those places where it happens, but it's still not good for the economy. But in a normal economy, you just delete the gold and you ban the accounts. So what do you do when it's NFT wallets? I mean, you can burn the assets and stuff, but then you're destroying your own economy and people lose trust because it's like if the developer can just get rid of these, then what was the point of the NFTs in the first place?
No, that's I that's something to wrap my head around. That's huge. I didn't know that was happening at all. So, yeah.
Well,
leave that one with me.
It's inevitable that it will happen. I don't know of any specific cases. Like there hasn't been a breaking news article that's like 200 kids found buried alive in NFT farming thing or something like that. Hasn't happened yet. But it's gonna.
Look,
People are like that.
having high barriers to entry, does that solve the solution, or does that just minimize the solution? So let's take Axie Infinity as an example. They have a high barrier to entry. You have to spend quite a lot to get into the game. How attractive is that to people who want to do something like that?
I mean, it actually might even make it worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because then if you want to get into that space, now you have to go to the gatekeepers. And
the institution will have all of the Axies to rent to the sweatshop guys, basically.
Yeah. Step into my basement. Now you're chained to a desk. Now what?
Oh, that's horrible.
So
if anything, like just lowering the barriers to entry to the ground and then making it so kind of profitable basically for the workers that it's like, why would you want to share your cut when literally you can just do it yourself and then buy yourself an air conditioner essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that way at least if it happens, then it's probably being done illegally because those people could have done it on their own and made more money that way. Yeah.
But then like creating that kind of economy is incredibly difficult because like a pay to earn economy, it kind of depends on a constant inflow of new users bringing in new money. Or I mean, someone's got to be putting money into the economy for other people to take it out. So it's it's just incredibly hard to be able to provide everyone that much value to be able to afford air conditioners. It's an incredible problem, but it's an incredible opportunity too.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the pushbacks I get when I talk about NFTs with other people is that they're like, isn't it just a pyramid scheme? Because you do need people coming in and paying into it. But it's like, no, we're actually producing a game. And like, it's the same in terms of like, if someone produces a bicycle or a video game itself, you're purchasing the video game. That work went into that. So it's not a pyramid scheme per se.
I mean, the whole economy is, if that's what they're calling a pyramid scheme, then the whole economy is a pyramid scheme because whoever was here first and had the businesses first, obviously takes the lion's share of the revenue. So what you're saying is that no, you're providing a service, you're providing products, and people are purchasing them off you. And I'm totally agreeing. Like that's the hard thing. It's to create products that are so wanted and so with such high demand that it can not only feed your company but feed everyone, feed all the players or at least like half the players as well.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the inclination to think that way simply because so many of the companies that I've seen do look like a cash grab. They're like, we'll just copy Hearthstone and get money that way.
That's a great problem, and something that games like Legends of Crypto and anybody else who's like getting started has to find like even a better solution to. We'll follow up on that one once our games are out.
There's a broader question there though. Is capitalism a pyramid scheme?
Yeah, it obviously is. But it has outcomes, and I'd say like at least half of those are positive. So it is what it is.
So I have a question. So like a blockchain-based ecosystem can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, right? So Enjin's a blockchain-based ecosystem. The Legends of Crypto is a blockchain/NFT-based game, and we have our own ecosystem. So do you think it's like a malleable definition for you, or do you have like a more concrete definition of what is a blockchain-based ecosystem?
Me or I don't really have a definition of what a blockchain-based ecosystem is. I think to have an ecosystem, you need to have a community, and then it just needs to be running with blockchain, some kind of blockchain products or economy, and I'd be happy to call it an ecosystem, really.
How would you convert to NFTs? Like, how do you make the infinite ecosystems that they have into an NFT supporting one without all the ridiculous inflationary issues that we talked about before?
Yeah, I think you have to build it from the ground up, to be honest with you. Like, I think it's like, I mean, you can layer NFTs on top of it pretty easily. So you could just have the existing game and then, oh, cool, well, here are some new items and these are NFTs and this kind of thing. Like that's, if I was going to try to convert an existing game, that's how I'd kind of go about it, and then just try to phase it towards the NFTs, and then eventually everyone only cares about the NFTs, and then you can start to convert the underlying infrastructure. But yeah, I think the only way I can see that working, because these games really they rely on being able to provide like extrinsic rewards, as in like, you do something, you get something, you do something, you get something, you do something, you get something, basically forever. So it relies on that inflation, just like the real world economy does. And basically, so yeah, it's fundamentally the only real way to do it is to maintain that, but also just make sure that the things that were offered earlier are clearly special in some way, even if it's just like, even if it just says on there that they're on the NFT that this was released this year and this was released that year. Like, people are going to assign value to that, and I think that's kind of the only way. If you are going for an inflationary kind of game, I think the really interesting thing is, there's a wider creator economy that's wanting to get into the NFT space, artists and musicians and all of this kind of thing. And these are assets of incredible value, like sentimental value, like, you hear emotional value, you hear music, you see art, and it makes you feel something. You want that. So I think integrating these kind of in these kind of creations into gaming is going to be very interesting, and distributing them through gaming. That's definitely something that I'm doing at my company, MyMetaverse. So yeah, I mean, that's a form of inflation that's based on each creator's constantly coming up with something new, and creative inflation. I think that's going to be a very powerful thing in the NFT space, basically.
Simon, you're also the CEO of MyMetaverse. Can you touch on that a bit and what makes MyMetaverse unique?
Yeah, so essentially, we really want to kind of make a Steam-like game discovery platform, where you can go on there, you go through all of the games and you find the ones that you want. So to do that, we're building an infrastructure to make it even easier to adopt the Enjin ecosystem and NFTs and blockchain. So just, very simple APIs with very simple game mechanics, just kind of out of the box, where a game developer can literally go, oh, I want to make this kind of loot box. And then they go onto our website and just go, all right, that's done. And now I'll just ping that API and a user will be able to open it and receive the NFTs out of it. So we really just want to like make the economic, the building of an economy and the building of really like solid gameplay mechanics just as easy for them as possible. And that way, if we have the new wave of game developers wanting to get into the NFT space, a platform like that has it's very easy to adopt, and it can have like monetization models and user acquisition models and user retention models built into it, becomes very attractive to a game developer. So on top of that, of course, we also want to attract lots of users to the game. So we can say, hey, we have this user base, we'd love to share it with you, and that kind of thing. So that's essentially what MyMetaverse is. Now, to get that done, what we've done first is we've launched a Minecraft server and integrated NFTs into that. Next, we're launching a GTA server, a GTA roleplay server. We're going to add NFTs into that. And then we're launching a Unity game as well, and that's going to be really good because we don't have like as many restrictions. If you build in Minecraft and GTA, you're really in Mojang and Rockstar's world, so you have to play by their rules. But when we're building our own game, we can do whatever we want, and all of these games are powered by our APIs, which we then plan to expose to the rest of the development community and allow them to just use. So this was, like, as someone that's never done game development or game design myself, this was just the only really way that we could really learn exactly what people needed in the development community and then build exactly what would solve their problems for them. So yeah, that's kind of the roadmap anyway.
So you mentioned GTA, and I'm assuming that's an online version. Is there a
Yeah,
way
yeah.
to integrate NFTs into offline games, or is it exclusively got to be connected to a server?
Yeah, it has to be connected to a server because otherwise a hacker can just decompile the client app and just send themselves NFTs whenever they want. So the NFT distribution mechanics need to be server side, and yeah, even if it is a single player game, you still need to have those protections on the server. But yeah, I mean, NFTs work better. Well, actually, no. There are some games that are doing really amazingly with single player experiences with NFTs. Yeah.
And how do you imagine items moving between like totally different games? Like how does a rifle in GTA end up in Minecraft, and what does that look like?
I imagine it being very, very cool, but in real life, it's very hard to do, because like these games, the balancing of the economy is so hard, and it's something that I'm really bad at. I'm just lucky I have good people to do that for me. But yeah, if you have all of these guns flying out of GTA, and then suddenly they're just in Minecraft and they're completely OP, then what do you do? It's just so hard to balance. But it's something that we have to try and we have to learn. And this is the perfect kind of setup for us to be able to do that kind of stuff. So we definitely are going to. But yeah, it's really hard. Just a lot of trial and error, basically, is how we generally work.
So is that the goal? Like, is it basically to move NFTs from one game to another? Like, let's say like a Legends of Crypto card to Minecraft, or is it like moving items within the same game but different servers, kind of thing?
Oh yeah, it's through different games for sure, and different
Okay.
apps and everything. I think that's the coolest reality that's kind of like the big thing that I remember on Enjin's white paper in 2017, and I read it, and then VTech was saying something about, oh, this means if they're on the blockchain, they're outside of the server, so different games can read the blockchain and see that this player has the item. That means that you can then use the item in multiple games. And I was just like, whoa, this is it. Like, holy, oh man, this is the future. So this is the future that we've all been dreaming of for 4 years now. I'm in a position to be able to experiment with it a lot in some really cool games, and I intend to, within limitations. Obviously, there's limitations with especially Rockstar's end user license agreement, but yeah, we definitely want to have that cross game experience, the cross game persistence of reality as much as possible.
Yeah, balancing that sort of stuff is something that I have to consider as well. But fortunately for us, I'm making a card game, so it's not so difficult to take any item from any game or any character from any game and sort of create stats that work in our card game and have them have a unique ability that works in that way. Then it's just a question of like, how much time do I spend integrating these NFTs from all these different games? Like, how many can I actually support? And that's where I'm running into logistical questions in terms of like,
Yeah.
once this NFT market starts exploding and everyone's got NFTs in their game, can I really support millions of NFTs in my game? Like something
What are
has
the
to-
kind of what are the file size for an asset for you? Like, you know, it's a card, but is there like you know, there'd be a model for every one of them, right? So it's more weight added to the client that players then need to download, wouldn't it be?
That's part of the logistics that I haven't really worked through yet. Because for now, we're just doing our card game and any collaborations that we do. And then the plan is sort of down the line to also start integrating NFTs from other games, whether or not they want to. And that's is like, if let's say that I start making NFTs for Axie Infinity's stuff, and just to like go, hey, Axie Infinity people, come try our game. You've already got a set of cards because you have Axies. How are they going to feel about that?
That's really cool. If it's controversial, you might get extra PR. So maybe it doesn't know how they feel. I shouldn't say that, but
well, I mean,
I'm sure they would be very happy, to be honest. You're just adding utility and value to their NFTs. Like, I think that's a great thing.
Well, that's the thing. Like, people in our game would be like, if they see a really cool Axie card in our game, they'll be like, oh, I need to go play Axie to get that NFT so that I can have it in the card game to build this super cool deck that I want to do.
Exactly.
So I
cool.
hope, yeah, I mean, I hope that it goes in that direction and that people see it as like, cool, we're all working together towards something greater. But there's also my fear based on just the way I've seen capitalist endeavors go, is the fear that no, I don't want you touching my NFTs, and then it becomes intellectual property right wars.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, if you're actually like using the Axie images in your game and stuff, like that's where the IP issues would come in. But if you just kind of, you know, make something that's clearly not a breach of their visuals or something like that, it shouldn't.
I've thought about this a lot, actually. So what I would do is parody. So I'd be
yeah.
I just totally roast the shit out of anyone who won't cooperate. So this is my warning to other developers right now. Cooperate with me, or I will make so much fucking fun of your game in very real ways. I will criticize the shit out of your design. I'll play your games just to tear them apart, and then I will make cards about it. So work with me or else.
I love that. I love that. That'll get people talking.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That last sentence is going to be a meme. Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, I am kind of skeptical on how much that will work if it's not in a collaborative, if they're not like legitimately like promoting you and pushing players towards you. I'm not sure how many players like you can get from that, because again, you're just adding value to the NFTs, but the people aren't going to necessarily even know that you added that value unless the game is actually partnered up and pushing them towards you and talking about that value. And you're even collaborating on content, and you're actually making videos together about how this item and this item moves through these different games. Like, you can make amazing video content. I think that's the biggest like marketing benefit, is the video content you could make about that would spread like wildfire. But yeah.
I mean, that's sort of the direction that I'd like to go. I'd like to see like game designers in a live stream working together, like going, okay, so what's this card going to do, and how does our card work in your game, and like going back and forth, like live design meetings. Like, I made a whole YouTube channel to try and teach people design, and it's not popular, so maybe this would help when there's money involved.
That actually makes you think. Okay, so like if you're moving NFTs around different servers, let's say within GTA in this example, does that give players an unfair advantage? Like, let's say somebody who has like a lot of like expensive stuff, like a helicopter and like all sorts of weapons, moves it to like a newer server that applies the same NFTs and stuff to their server. Would that give players an unfair advantage?
Yeah, I mean, NFTs are inherently pay to win. Like even if you're the game designer and you're giving them out for free, they then reach the marketplace, and then the richest people end up with the best NFTs basically. So it's really important not to have NFTs like affect PvP scenarios too much. Like, it's kind of fine like in Minecraft if you're doing like PvE and it's just a survival world, and sure, like, I'll pay some money to like be able to do some things faster. It's not really hurting anyone else or negatively impacting their experience. They might get a little bit jealous, but like nothing crazy. But if someone can buy like a crazy sword and then they just run up to you and one hit you just because they're rich, like that's and you die and you literally like lose your stuff and you get frustrated from that, that's heartbreaking. Like that's very toxic. So yeah, it's going to be very hard to implement NFTs in PvP in any meaningful way, in my view.
I mean, that's a very big problem in gaming in general. Like this whole pay to win concept, people despise it.
It is.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
something I'm trying to tackle in terms of the way that I'm approaching it for our card game is that I want a regular version of all cards that is always available, and then if that runs out, we do a second edition printing and keep the price accessible. And then the first edition obviously would be more valuable. And then there's also elite and prestige editions, which are the same power level, but have different artwork and borders and things. So there's a way to do it. And
so
I
it's
think
more
you can
cosmetics.
do that across all games.
Yeah.
It's more
for
cosmetic.
sure. Yeah.
And you can have some stuff with like a little bit of power or just differences in power, but you have to be really careful with the design of those.
Yeah.
But I have a question for you. So I saw on your LinkedIn that your official title is the Vice President of Developer Success. So what is your modus operandi when it comes to helping developers succeed, and what tools are you using, and how committed are you to that goal?
Yeah, so basically, the VP of Developer Success is all about just making sure that Enjin's tools are being used in a way that creates the best user experience. So it's like basically when it comes down to it, like I'll jump on a call with new developers. I'll talk to them about their outline goals, what kind of user experience they want to create, and then I'll kind of try to consult with them on how to actually use the Enjin platform and NFTs to kind of maximize their player retention and their player acquisition and also monetize in a way that makes sense. So it's kind of like that's really the very core of it. But on top of that, of course, it's making sure that I can unblock any issues that they have with the Enjin with adopting NFTs at all. And making sure that the development process is smooth. The operating costs aren't skyrocketing because they're trying to adopt NFTs. In fact, like we want to make sure that people are spending like less or just the same as they would have spent, like having to build their own database and build their own inventory system. You just use the blockchain instead. So yeah, it's about keeping their costs low or the same, or and also making sure that they can attract users, retain users, and monetize efficiently.
Sounds like a successful plan.
Yeah.
I'm a dad now, so I make dad.
Yeah, it's a really great job. I'm kind of like we're building like a whole team there, and they're taking more of the lead there now, and I'm focusing more on my metaverse. I've got like kind of like a really great team there that I need to support too. So yeah, it's interesting balancing both, but at the same time, like my work at my metaverse has been able to allow me to do such a better job with Enjin and for Enjin as well, because I'm literally going through the same thing that the game devs are going through, and I'm one of them essentially these days. Well, not a dev, but
Close enough.
Well, I mean, it is you're developing a game, so effectively.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah, cool. Awesome. I'm a game dev. That makes me feel good.
Does it? Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
We're notoriously low paid.
From one game dev to another.
Yeah.
Do you know what the burnout rate is in the game development industry?
No.
the average game dev leaves before their 10th year.
Wow. And then they
Yeah.
just become an accountant or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of them, actually, a lot of the ones that I knew became brewers for some reason. I guess they like beer. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, they needed it after that 10 years,
I
basically.
thought about it myself, to be honest.
No, I don't know. Like I've always just thought of game devs as like the pinnacle of creativity. It's like you need to be an economic genius. You need to understand like humanity. You need to be able to build communities. You need to be able to build a good game, like build good game loops, build worlds. You're a world builder. Like I don't know. It's something that I've always held up to high esteem. So it's something that I've never really been able to call myself because I don't feel like I'm worthy. Like,
Well, I mean, you're creating a pedestal that maybe you shouldn't. Like every game developer is different. Every game developer has different strengths and weaknesses, myself included. Like I have a very minor background in college. I was studying psychology and stuff, and that sort of informed how I do user experience. And
Nice.
that was why I was so good at level design. So because I knew players will react to this that way and so forth. And that just became my growth process for the next 15 years, is understanding how players interact with the games and then understanding all of my experiences when I play games. And that informed how I do other stuff. And then I also just happened to be a creative person in terms of I liked writing stuff, and I grew up doing creative writing stuff and making Dungeons and Dragons games and playing with my friends and things like that. So those sort of blended together into now I consider myself like a very strong narrative designer, and then my economy stuff is kind of weak because I don't really understand the economy, or at least whenever I analyze it, I'm like, this doesn't work. This is broken. Am I just wrong? But everything keeps getting proven to no, actually it really is just broken.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it was really cool talking to you about all of this. I'm kind of wanting to look at the Enjin tools now myself.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to show you around and do my developer success thing and show you what I do.
Yeah.
I'll prove that I actually work for Enjin.
It's true, guys. Okay.
Cool.
Well, Simon, thank you.
Pleasure.
Can't wait to catch up with you, hopefully as characters.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold
Yeah,
you
we'll
up to
jump
that
into
topic.
GTA and do our next podcast there.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for your time. Great to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice meeting you too.